In just a second is I'm going to take you down through the concept of how do you get your salespeople focused and doing the right things in the right order. Now, how many of you know that when you hire salespeople, that one of the things that makes them good salespeople is that their brain works kind of like a pinball machine. So you kind of pull back the lever, and the ball takes off, and it goes bing, 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 bing. How many of you know that about your salespeople? Okay. Now, here's the problem with that. Okay, so they're creative. They see solutions that makes them a good salesperson, and unless they understand that sales, just like every other part of business, is a system, and they have to follow the system, their performance will be at about 20% of what it could be. Okay? So you can't just kind of walk in the morning and go, gosh, I wonder who I'll call on today. I wonder what I'm going to do today. Okay? How many of you have salespeople who have done this? How many of you have done this yourselves? Go ahead, hands up, right? Okay? So we've all done it. So we know how ineffective we are when we're just letting the tail wag the dog. And so the key is that you have to give them a few simple tools and insist, and I mean insist that they use them. Those tools are to help them win. If they're using the tools, they win. Now, if you make this complicated, it won't work, and they won't do it. Okay, so you've got to keep it simple. So I'm going to show you some simple things. The temptation to get wild on this and go off and do all kinds of different things will be huge. But trust me on this one, the simpler you keep it, the better. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you want to be tracking and how. Let's go through retail process first. So first on page 13 of your bound workbook, there is an example of the sample sales meeting template. Now let me tell you what all those different components are. We're actually going to hold a sample meeting in just a while on the commercial side, but you always start off with what's called a positive focus. A positive focus in the sales meeting is just what's gone right. Okay, so that's like we got this account, we hit 3.8 on cross sales ratio, new high we ever hit. Woohoo! We just brought on a company and we brought in a $4 million account. We picked up their employee 401ks and the whole thing. Woohoo! Okay, so it's a time for you to celebrate all your successes. It can also be, hey, I got my top 100, top 1,000 concepts all laid out and planned for the next quarter. So in addition to what the company is doing, I'm going to also have my own top 100, top 1,000 things I'm sending out. Whatever it could be, of projects they're doing or numbers they're hitting, they always start off with the positive focus. Now, if you have an employee who's not sharing and doing a positive focus, what's that telling you about them? They're not playing. They're not playing. They're not on board. They're not there for their team. Okay? Now, one of the things you got to be careful about too with your sales team, you know, on the zero risk, how you need to have either the self-awareness score or the results orientation score. One of those two has to be a 6 or above in order for that to be a sales profile. So here's the challenge with the self-awareness score being higher. When you get too high of a self-awareness score, it gets to be about ego. Lots and lots of ego there. So when it's about ego, it's about me kind of stuff, okay? And so they may not want to do positive focus because positive focus is also about, how's the team doing? And so that's the kind of stuff you have to confront, make them aware and go, hey, here's one of your scores and here's how you have to work through that and here's what we need from you. Bring it into the light so they can understand that. Do you know why they call it a blind spot? Because you can't see it. And so when people confront you on your blind spot, what do you say? You're wrong. Yeah, you're wrong. Well, you must be crazy, okay? It's your blind spot. And so when you take that blind spot into the light, they begin to understand that, ooh, this is something I really have to be attentive to in order to have the breakthrough. So the next thing you do is learning time. Now, where do you get learning time from? On the retail side, you've got the videos on the breakthrough sales meetings up on the site. How do you use those? Every sales meeting, you should have one in there at a minimum every other sales meeting. And so how often do sales meetings happen, by the way? Every week. Every week, no exception. Not every 2 weeks. Whenever a bank's are doing well, what are they doing? Every 2 weeks. Not every 2 weeks, only every week. Every 2 weeks, everything's different every 2 weeks. Things are too far away every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks just doesn't work. It's got to be a time cast in stone that you have every week, and it has to be non-negotiable, to be done every week. So you can go up on the private pass and you do the breakthrough sales meetings. On the retail side, there's, Megan, how many different videos do you think we have up there on the retail side, like 88 or something like that, or 70 some, or 50, 60, 70, somewhere there? A lot. You have enough curriculum to go for a very, very long time. And so, and in that curriculum, we have a recommended, I don't know, Megan, I don't remember anymore if it's like 6 or 7 or 8 that they have to start off with. And then those should be repeated every year. So you do those 8, or whatever, I'm guessing 8, and then when they finish that 8, then you have a curriculum plan that you just fill out, and you look ahead to go, here are the topics I want to go through in what order. So you can plan out your next quarter, your next year, of what things you'll have in your sales meeting. So if there's certain ones that don't apply to you, don't use them, okay? But there's lots of different topics up there, good to go, so you're all set to go. So that should be standard in there. Now when you have that part of the sales meeting, what should happen at the end of that watching a video? They should discuss, not just discuss, but make commitments of how they're going to use that thing they just learned. And so make sure that in every training piece that you do within your organization, that it's always outcome-based, user-based. So here's the distinction. So banks since the beginning of time have had sales trainers come in, and they send in these trainers, and they come in for $2,000, $3,000 a day, and then they fly in from out of town, they do their bada bing, bada boom for the day, and then they go, okay? And the problem with that is they're gone, and there's no system in it to manage it and keep it going. There's no, these people are gone. It's their program as opposed to your program. Now instead, when you watch the video and you have the manager of that department in the meeting with them saying, what are your commitments? Whose program is it now? Your program. It's just something you watch, but it's your program. It's always got to be your program. In fact, take the words Emmerich program and throw them out of your vocabulary, okay? Don't even use that around your people. So it's not, this is just tools we give to you guys, okay? So it's just your stuff. It's just how you're using it. So in that stage, they're watching those videos and making declarations of how they're going to use that. Is it okay for a manager not to be there? No, managers got to be there. They have to know what they're managing in that sales meeting. Now, once in a while, on a rare event, maybe they don't need to be there, but they need to be there.